Okay, so now for the last component of the system, it is going to be the brain of things. And this, my friends, is the AMD Ryzen 3900X. So this thing took me forever waiting on this thing to come out of back order status. I ordered this way back in the last week of July, and it didn't come in stock until the first week of October. So if that tells you anything, it's about a 2.5 month back order status there. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of getting a little bit impatient. I was actually starting to think that the 3950X was going to come out before I ever got this thing in. But let's take a look at this. So I did cut the seal at the back here, as you can see. I just wanted to make sure that I had it ready to go for you guys. Now this does have a base clock of 3.8 gigahertz with a max boost of 4.6 gigahertz. That's right now it's, I believe, one core, but it is a 12 core 24 thread processor. So I mean, this thing kicks some butt. This actually reminds me of back in the days with the good old AMD processors when they were still actually doing pretty decent. I was lucky enough to be back when the AMD Thunderbirds were around, where they didn't have the cover on them. It was just the straight CPU die. I remember having to be really careful trying to put on heat sinks on those and not cracking them. That was a really big issue. I don't miss that in the least bit. But this actually reminds me of when they came out with the AMD 64. It's a really similar looking chip. Kind of same design there. I see they still have the pins on the bottom, which is one thing I will say I really like about Intel, is they went with that pinless design. I really wish AMD would go with that too. I hate having the pins on here because when you go to put that processor in the main board, you have to be really careful to make sure you get this lined up. There is a notch on here that will actually tell you, if you look in this corner, you see that little gold triangle? Notice none of the other corners have that gold triangle. Well, there's a triangle on the main board as well that that'll match up with. And you have to make sure you get that matched up with that. It's actually right there as well. You can barely see it, but it's got that little triangle. But you have to get that matched up with the main board so the pins will match up. If you don't and you try to push that processor into place, you bend the crap out of those pins. And you're done. I mean, trying to straighten those pins out, they just break off. They do not like to get bent and then lift back up at all. I've had several processors in the past where I thought I had it lined up, went to drop down the retention bracket, and yeah, toasted some processors. Luckily, one of them ended up being able to get bent back because it wasn't too severely bent, but that was when I wasn't really paying attention. When I was just starting out at this. I've learned to be a lot more careful now. You don't force it in, especially when you're talking about something as expensive as these processors are. But anyway, back onto what else we have here. I know these come with a pretty nice cooler. It is an air cooler. I will say I am not going to be using this air cooler in this build. I already have an AIO from Corsair. It's the H110i GT. It's a 280 millimeter radiator kit. So I mean, it does really, really good on the FX processor that I have currently. That thing runs nice and chilly. But this, I'll probably end up using this on my daughter's build when I move my old stuff over to her computer and upgrade it. I will probably use this fan and heatsink on there just because it's a lot nicer one, and this one does the RGB on there. It also has your PWM, so when you it's got everything you pretty much need. It does look like it has the cables in here as well for the for that RGB header and for the PWM and stuff. So I mean, this is kind of cool. I like it. But we'll see how it performs when we actually get it in that other computer. But what I'm looking forward to again is this chip. I'm just getting this all mounted in this new main board. This is going to be a lot of fun. But on that one, I am going to let you all go, and let's get on with the build.